Every guitar player needs a few smoke and mirrors songs. A smoke and mirrors song is a song that sounds fantastic. It sounds like there's a lot more to it than there really is. And that means we get a great sounding song, but with less effort actually learning the song. Was in another lifetime, one of toil and blood. Blackness was a virtue and the road was full of mud. I come in from the wilderness, a creature void of form. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Shelter from the Storm by Bob Dylan is a smoke and mirrors song. Today we're going to learn the chords for Shelter from the Storm. We're going to learn how do we get the right chords, the chords that sound like the record. We're going to learn a very handy use for the circle of fifths, which is a tool you need to start using. We're going to learn an easy way to use it for one specific thing today. And we're going to learn how to actually play Shelter from the Storm. We're going to go through that together. So let's get into it. Let's begin with the chords. Here are the chords for Shelter from the Storm. Okay, so here are the three chords. Here's the E. I'm playing the E like this. Okay, so it's almost like a C shape. Okay, a C shape would be this, but I'm just holding down these three strings. A on 7, D string on 6, and G string on 4. Okay, and those are the notes of the E, right? I'm playing an E, G sharp, and a B. Okay, and I'm using the open E string as the bass. Okay, let's go to the next one. A flat minor. Here's an A flat minor, but I'm playing it by holding down the pointer on the G string, and I'm using the open B string and open E string for a drone. My bass note is on the A string on the 6th fret. Okay, my A string is a simple, like a simple F, a beginner's F kind of shape, like this. One of the nice things that I can take advantage of is I have an open A string right here. So that's my bass note, and I'm going to let the high E ring for consistency so that I have that drony jangle on all the chords. And then I go back to the E, which is here. Okay? Okay. Now, how do we know that these are the right chords? When we check the tab sites and online resources, we often find that this song is shown with the chords E, B, and A. Okay, this kind of makes sense because E, B, and A is a 1-5-4 progression. E, 1, B, 5, A, 4. Okay, so it seems logical. Here's the secret that you already almost know. We only know we have the right chords when we listen to the recording and we listen to what we're playing and it sounds the same or sounds as close as we can get it. That's what we're striving for. That's what it means to play the right chords. When what you're playing has the same sound as what's on the record, you're playing it right. Okay, so the E chord. In the notes it says an E chord. I could play that like this. I think I'm hearing that open E string as the bass, but to me the sound of it is much closer when I play the C shape and I leave these two strings open. So I'm getting to that shape just using my ears. So the rule is use your ears, listen carefully, trust your ears, okay? So now let's go to the B chord, okay? In the notes again, the chord is shown as a B, the next chord. This does not sound very close to the recording at all, so I tinker around with that. As I mentioned earlier, I'm looking at the relative minor. When I look at the relative minor, I get an A flat minor, which is that's the relative minor of the B chord. And once I tinker around with that, take the bar off, add in the same open strings, and I'm hearing that movement from the A chord I played a minute ago to the E flat that's in the A flat minor. To me, that sounds like what's on the record. So that's why I'm choosing that chord. The Dylan sound on the recording, he's using a minor or a minor 7 chord. I can tell right away by the sound of the chord. And the chord in the notes is a major. So where do we find a minor chord that might fit in here? How do we figure that out? Now we're going to learn the next thing, the circle of fifths. Okay, if we just have a quick look at this fantastic diagram, what you're going to see, this diagram is called the circle of fifths. It's a fundamental encyclopedia of a very, very compressed encyclopedia of musical information. We're just going to learn one thing about it today. The ring around the outside shows the names of all the major chords in music, and underneath there's a ring of smaller letters in lowercase, and those are the relative minors for each major chord. So for example, at the top we have the chord C, and underneath we have A minor. If we look around the diagram and we find our B chord, we find that the relative minor for a B chord is an A flat minor. Okay, so that's how we figure out what chord we're going to try to see if we can get a perfect match for what's on the recording. Okay, so let's finally come back and we'll check the A chord from the tab. The A chord sounds right, but again I'm going to tinker around with voicings because I think I'm hearing some open jangling there, which could be the high E string. So if I play an A with an open A string bass, that sounds to me like what's on the record. Okay? So if I put those all together, I get this. And you can hear with your own ears that either we're dead on with the chords at this point, or we're certainly very, very close. Okay, finally, the thing we all came here for, how do we play the actual song? Okay, those are my chords. I'm going to give you the strumming pattern now. Okay, the strumming pattern is thumb, strum, down, up, as you can see in the little illustration. So here's what that means. Okay, thumb, strum, down, up. And those down, ups are very, very quick. They're like little eighth notes, or maybe 16th notes in this context, because this song's in 2/4. And you can hear the quickness if you listen closely to Bob playing. So it's... Okay, sorry, on E, on the E chord, our thumb is on the open E string. That again, on the A flat minor, the thumb is on the A string. Okay, on the A chord we're playing this simple A or a simple F shape at the 5th fret, and our thumb is on the open A string. Okay, and finally again, as I've mentioned before, we want to pay attention that I'm leaving the high E open, and the B string is open on a couple of the chords. So pay attention to letting those drones ring so you get this sound. Okay, let's look at the structure of the lines. So there's a standard line structure for all of the verses. I'm going to sing it so you can hear how it goes, and this is the way it goes. It starts off in the E, 'twas in another, to the A flat minor, lifetime, to the A, one of toiling, back to E, blood. Okay, line 2 and 3 are both identical. It's very similar to line 1, except at the end, instead of returning to E, we're playing the A twice. So it goes, when blackness was a virtue and the road was full of mud, I come in from the wilderness, creature void of form. And then line 4 is the same structure as line 1. Come in, she said, I'll give ya shelter from the storm. Here's that whole verse. I'm going to sing and play it slowed down. 'Twas in another lifetime, one of toil and blood, Blackness was a virtue and the road was full of mud. I come in from the wilderness, a creature void of form. Come in, she said, I give you shelter from the storm. Okay, that's the structure of the verse, and the verse simply repeats over and over many times. Just a little note on how he structures the song in one of his deft little variations. The song really is very, very repetitive. It does not sound very, very repetitive. It's because he often changes the ending throughout the song. He changes the ending of the verse. So after we finish that fourth line of the verse, sometimes the last E major gets interpreted as the first E major of the repeat of that same line. Other times he just stays on the E major for 3 times or 4 times. Sometimes he does the E, A flat, A, E line twice. So those details are all annotated in the notes that you will find in a PDF in a link in the pinned comment below. So you can just follow along there. And as my rules state, use your ears and compare what you're doing against the recording. Okay, so today we learned the chords for Shelter from the Storm. We learned how to get the right chords. In other words, how to pay attention to what you're hearing and compare what you're playing and the notes you find with what you're hearing. Always trust your ears. They will never lie to you. We also learned the third thing, one very handy use for the circle of fifths to help us find a chord if we're looking for a chord that is connected to the chord we're expecting. Okay, so in this case, the example I'm using is we were expecting a B chord, but we could tell with our ears it wasn't a B chord. Maybe it's the relative minor of B chord. That is a very, very common phenomenon. You want to get used to that idea. And I'm also including a copy of the circle of fifths diagram pinned in the comments below for you to take home and use as you see fit. The fourth thing we learned was actually running through how to play Shelter from the Storm, which you can do now. It does take quite a bit of practice because he plays it quickly and his timing is very, very tight. So be patient with yourself. Start off and work on it slowly. You really got to get your strumming to a point where you are very, very comfortable, and you also have to spend a little bit of time and learn the melody very, very carefully and learn the phrasing very carefully. But if you invest a little bit of time, it's a fantastic song. It is a smoke and mirrors song. It sounds like much more than it is. As I've already mentioned, the notes are pinned in the comment below. If you're interested in learning more about chords or the circle of fifths, check out the videos that are coming up on the screen now and click and have a look at those, because I have a couple of 100 videos on the channel now, and there's lots of resources for you. So please subscribe to the channel and come on back to Bonner Guitar soon. I'll see you then.